Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, to and every part of the world, my dear brothers and sisters, receiving the signal from our 100,000 watt transmitter into the rest of the world from the internet, also formerly known as the ARPANET, created by who? You, we the people. Folks, don't forget, it's you who created it all. And of course, I got a little bit trastornado with my entry this morning, but that's okay. It's Thanksgiving week, so we get the chance to do that. Anyway, let's pass it on to El Estudio with our brothers, El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Where are you, Howard? I can't find you.
Uh-oh, Howard is out.
Yes, he's taking some well-deserved time off.
Yes, and that is well deserved. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm good. How are you today, Berto?
Oh, I'm doing great. You know, this is going to be a short week for live programming, but we're going to have some great stuff, great interviews for folks to listen to on Thursday and Friday as well. So it's going to be a good time here for the next 3 days live and 2 days on you know where. How you doing, my brother?
I'm good. Uh, I read your post this morning, and Project 2025 comes out of it, so that's kind of what I'm going to be saying here. Trump's Project 2025 wants to shut down Pacifica. Why? Because we represent the truth. We expose the ideas and reasoning behind the news story, and we call out the lies, the mistruth, the misleading statements designed to fool you into believing a lie. It's the people that support free speech radio that make it this possible. You and the listener sponsor know the value of Pacifica. Keep us strong. Keep us strong.
You nailed it, my brother. You nailed it. Well, good morning, El Senor Jacques Van Bibber. Thank you for that, because I think that is where we're going to start this morning, and I hope to get some calls so that we can further expand on that. So, without further ado, let me just go ahead and say good morning again, everybody. This is Monday, the 25th of November. We only have a few more days left in this calendar year, just over a month. And it didn't go as many of us wanted. It went the way some wanted as far as our elections are concerned. But the dangers are there. The dangers are there. As an educational institution, KPFT is designated to tell you the things that are occurring. And right now, our media is in trouble. Good morning to Anna Hart from Washington State. And good morning to Gayla Kunis from Georgia. Great to have you here in the chat as well. I trust that you're listening. By the way, folks, and I'm going to put this in the chat, my Blue Sky, I've also started my migration to Blue Star, or rather Blue Sky. Blue Sky is the alternative to Twitter. And what we want to do is make sure to get that baby well populated. So I am going to put in the chat my Blue Sky address. And that is, let's see. Come on, chat. There you go. It is, first of all, my call is Egberto Willis, okay? At Egberto Willis on Blue Sky. The long form is at egbertowillis.bsky.social. And the link, of course, is bsky.app is where you get there. Again, my call on Blue Sky is at Egberto Willis, all one word. Good morning, Paul Fleming from from Powder Springs, Georgia. Welcome to the program. Anyway, we're going to start today with the media and what's happening in the media. A few days ago, our good friend Tom Hartman wrote a piece called "Will Trump's Return Coincide with the Death of Progressive Media?" We all must support and share with our friends those outlets where we find useful news and information. If we fail to do so, America's media landscape may soon mirror those of autocratic nations the incoming president so admires. A lot of times, people don't understand how serious things are until they're upon us and there's no return. Unfortunately, when you are being indoctrinated, the procedures are very well founded in how to get it's called normalization. You know, right now we have been do you imagine 15 years ago, somebody with the qualifications of Donald Trump, someone that did the things that Donald Trump have done, both to women, both legally, uh, economically, etc. Somebody like that wouldn't stand a chance of ever being elected. However, however, when you start having normalization, you slowly change what is right. You slowly change what is acceptable, an inch at a time, an inch at a time. Or you make something so outlandish a one time success that people start to think about it as normal. Then you can get away with just about anything. And that is kind of where we are right now. Again, I mentioned this ad nauseum. Having re elected a thug, having re elected a person a judge referred to as a rapist after having been found liable for sexual abuse or sexual assault, someone who has robbed the salaries of his employees, someone who has left contractors in his that built his building unpaid and threatened with lawsuit, someone who has stolen from and all of these things are not conjecture, these things are fact. But that in the past, just one of those things happening, grabbing onto women's parts, just one of those things in the past would have disqualified anyone from the presidency. But normalization has occurred. We have normalized that that is okay, and that is no longer something that stops you from being able to be president. And in doing so, then what's next? We've elected him. The degeneracy of the population, and that's the only way we can look at it, the degeneracy of the population that normalization has created. And you have to ask yourself an important question. How far will this go? How far will be the normalization of evil go? Because as it goes far, you remember Donald Trump in his past rallies would tell people just go ahead and beat him up on the head or knock his head or whatever. And it's okay. Normalization. Normalization. Well, the normalization is also aided by our media. And when I say the normalization is occurred by our media, I'm talking specifically of right wing media. A media that once believed or would preach that the things Donald Trump has done made you unacceptable for higher office. But who normalized it? Who eventually said, it is okay? People, I ask thee, when does it end? How far does it go? Well, Tom Hartman's piece is a good start. He said, have you heard of that Comcast is planning to sell MSNBC, is Rupert Murdoch planning to buy it? Will America's media landscape soon resemble those of Hungary and Russia? Without the right wing media juggernaut, Donald Trump probably wouldn't be president next year and wouldn't have won in 2016. That said, the progressive media landscape looks like it might be about to get a whole lot worse. Comcast, which owns NBC and its subsidiaries, CNBC and MSNBC, among other media outlets, announced this week that they'll be, and that's last week, that they'll be spinning off MSNBC among others next year, and the consequences are already showing up. It was reported last week that Rachel Maddow just took a substantial annual pay cut because of the uncertain future of the network. In part, this probably reflects a belt tightening at Comcast, but it is also an indication of how legacy media, which now includes cable properties, are taking a hit from newer digital media, from social media to podcasts to web-based network programs. In part, this probably reflects a belt tightening, yeah, but the principal analyst and VP of content for market research company eMarketer, Paul Verna, told the AP that the writing is on the wall, that cable TV business is a dwindling business, and the AP noted is predicting future consolidation of the networks or acquisition through private equity. You see, these guys can all be profitable, but if they're not profitably growing exponentially, they're unloaded to the next thing that can be to the next organization or the next entity from which we can extract. Private equity like Bain Capital and large media operations acquisitions have long history of gutting media properties to increase their profitability. Yes, to increase their profitability, they've done that. Air America Radio, for which Tom Hartman, he actually wrote the business plan and which carried his program, was on the air in virtually every major market in the United States, having leased over 50 major high-powered stations. But he actually used to beat Rush Limbaugh in a lot of times. But Air America kept losing station after station as they changed their programming, mostly to right-wing programming. And here we are, the election of a president sanctioned by the right wing. Musk, of course, will be in charge of identifying those parts of government or institutions funded by the government, which means pretty much goodbye to NPR. NPR, which many like to call progressive, far from it, but like many call it progressive, will likely be defunded and dependent on external sources of funding, and likely those external forces will probably change its type of programming, which is the true, fair, and balanced. Anyway, right-wing billionaires brought us Fox News, Sinclair, two other web and cable-based right-wing TV stations, channels, nationwide networks of hate radio, now also in Spanish. People are wondering, how comes the Latino folks are jumping to the right? Well, mostly Latino men jumping to the right. Well, guess what? Yeah. And I've been talking about this for several months now. Right-wing media is saturated with hate radio paid for by the billionaires. So when Democrats sat down and kept on talking about demographic is our answer, demographics is our answer, a nurtured demographic is no answer. An unnurtured demographic is no answer because the right is always there and ready to nurture that demographic. And guess what the right is doing right now? They have successfully entered the Spanish market. And in so doing, I ask everyone here, please go listen to Spanish radio. Go listen to the ads on Spanish radio. And you see where we're heading, folks. Lack of investment of the left while the right continues to invest in your minds. Not to mention the entire network of billionaire-funded, hard, right, phony, pink slime newspapers that pop up around the country every election year. tens of millions of dollars in subsidies to right-wing podcast hosts. Think about this. Grogan, 6 years ago, was speaking about Medicare for all. He was speaking about health care. He was speaking about education for kids. Grogan sounded like a left winger 6 years ago. I don't have the time to play a 10-minute piece that one of my PDR posse members on 3 o'clock sent me. And Johnny, I'm coming to you in a minute. But Rogan, he was actually promoting a Medicare for all. Then what happened? What happened? Again, who are his funders now? Who is funding these operations? I told you guys last week, Politics Done Right, as an independent media organization, mostly with the progressive left, got offers to switch from the progressive information that I put out there to just become a right-wing stooge. Money, dinero, plata, capital. And I looked and I said, you know what is funny? At the stage in my life where I gave up my engineering company, my software development company to do activism, because I thought I found a way after my bills were all paid to go ahead and invest the good fortune that America has brought into progressive activism to ensure that everybody had that opportunity to move forward. But at a time at the lowest, when things hit pretty hard because of illness and other things in a family, that looked great. Going to the right looked great. Wow, well compensated. It could be well compensated, man. And then you sit back and you think, how do you look yourself in the mirror? How do you say, you know what? I am my brother's keeper. I am my sister's keeper. I can't do that. But you know what? There are thousands out there that are willing to do it. There are thousands out there that have done it. And that corruption, that normalization that I spoke about at the beginning of the program is occurring, continues to occur. Anyway, there's no equivalent politically tilted media systems on the left. Democratic leaning billionaires have stayed out of the media space ever since Romney's company took down Air America. The closest TV and radio counterpart we have, and listen to these small networks that we have as progressive media, what I call truthful media. And as Tom points out, it is Free Speech TV, available on the web, Dish, Sling, Roku, Apple TV, and DirecTV. And the Progressive channel on Sirius XM. His daily program is carried there. I want you guys to think about that. True progressive news can only be found in very small spots. Of course, with the advent of Substack, a lot of independent media guys that have been dumped by the corporatocracy or dumped by, because again they spill too much of the truth. They've now many migrated to Substack, which I am on now as well. Substack, which is and by the way, I'm at egberto.substack.com, egberto.substack.com. But again, you can also find it at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Many of us in the progressive media, because of cost, we don't have the monies to put big production companies up or whatever. So we become our own independent media spaces on platforms like Substack, and now many of us have migrated to Blue Sky and other places, right? But that's all we have, an ad hoc setup of progressive media. How do we change that? How do we ensure that 2025, when Donald Trump takes command of this country, that somehow when MSNBC is sold, which MSNBC isn't even a clean left channel, just sort of marginally left, but when MSNBC is sold, All we got, Free Speech TV, Mother Jones, The Nation, The New Republic, The Guardian, and a few other outlets, Common Dreams, Alternate, LA Progressive, Democratic on the Ground, Daily Kos. There are not there are not many sources compared to the right-wing indoctrination machine. And you know who solves that? Only you can. Only you can solve that by ensuring that you read and you share and you make people aware of all of those doing the work in the progressive media. That's the only way. It has to be geometric progression from the individual, or I should say exponential growth. When everyone, if everyone shares 10 pieces of information every day that those of us in the progressive space put out, again, I repeat, if all of those, if all of those who uh, read a politics done right slash new.com slash newsletter or a Tom Hartman or any one of these, if any of you make sure to share our content 10 times and ask each of those people to share 10 times, we start to get exponential progression of our data in the hands of people who trust you and trust those who you trust. It has to be grassroots going forward. It has to be grassroots going forward. Folks, I hope this little narrative, this little soliloquy starts to lay upon you the importance in getting the progressive media out there and getting you to be a part of it. Back at Coffee Party USA, at the time that I was a board member, we had a program called Be the Media. And what it was telling every individual was that you had to play a part. It was imperative that you play a part in getting truth to your fellow man. When you tell the truth to 10 people who trust you, it's much more effective than just them listening to Fox News because they trust you. That is one thing many of us should understand. So all of us must be the media. All of us must be sharing progressive media, and all of us must be remaining engaged with all of those, whether we like them or not, whether they're MAGA or right wing. We always have to keep that engagement and push that truth. Some of it will not be accepted, but keep pushing that truth. Keep pushing that truth. Let's go to line one. Johnny, come on in. Folks, I'm taking calls now. 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. My dear brother, Johnny, talk to me.
Good morning, if I could still say that, Big Berto.
It's a good morning.
The chronology of events and the processes that you've been describing with regards to Air America and adjacent left-wing media, what I see that as is a terraforming of the population in the same way that we, the United States, through our military, had terraformed the population of Iraq with 2 million plus dead Iraqis. And by the way, it was initially reported back in the day as 2 million, the death count. But I saw gradually they started to decrease that number of death count. And the numbers went up and down very suspiciously. But anyway, I'm convinced that it's still at 2 million plus. When you eliminate that many people out of a small population like that, what you're doing is when you go after the liberals and the intelligentsia, supposedly, what you got left is people that aren't so well educated and people that are scared. And then you have left over those people who are opportunistic, because that's human nature, and you have bullies, and the people who invade appeal to those bullies and bribe them and give them positions. They do away with the Ba'ath Party. And so you terraform the population, and here the process is not exactly the same. It's more psychological warfare, and that's why I'm thinking there's a chance that Donald Trump and his MAGA affiliates will not look to totally outright destroy left-wing media, because if they do that, then they have no appearance of democracy. They have no appearance of validity, because they always talked about criticisms that we on the left they have brought the same criticisms that we on the left have brought. So then how would it look if they destroy the people who are saying the same things that they are pretending that they care about in order to get into office? So there's it's also possible that if they, like you indicated, they go the other way. They could just do total warfare and totally eliminate all the media. And if they do that, then they know that the word's going to get out, and then they have a terrified population. Just like you could have a terrified population in Egypt, for example, or Hungary. So it could go that way too. I can't say for certainty that we and other left-wing media will survive at some level. It's possible
Let,
that could happen too.
let me give you the good news, and I don't want to leave everybody terrified, but let me give you the good news. Notice what the right is trying to put into they have their talking points, right? And their talking points continuously says Donald Trump has been given a mandate. I want you to listen to every news program yesterday on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN. On every single one, every Republican that spoke had one phrase: Trump has been given a mandate. Now, remember what I talk about: indoctrination, normalization, etc. They want people to believe that word. Trump has been given a mandate. Let's tell some truths right here. Trump was not given a mandate. In fact, Trump's popular vote total was less than Hillary Clinton's popular vote that beat him but lost her the election. It's important that people understand that Donald Trump won the election. We are not denying that at all. He won the election because of psychological warfare, and he won the election because of people staying home from said psychological warfare and people voting their a race sexist vote. That's a statement of fact. Now, but even with all of that, his popular vote win is less than Hillary Clinton's popular vote when she lost and beat his popular vote. So, folks, there is no mandate here. So, the fact that there's no mandate, which means that a lot of people didn't buy the crap. 50% of the voted, 49%, all right, let's back up. 48 point something percent of the voting population didn't buy it. Over 50% of the population, I'm sorry, didn't buy it because he didn't win 50% of the population. He won 49.9% of the population. So he came under 50 in the popular vote. That means that more people didn't believe his crap that voted than those who believed his crap. And if we count those who simply didn't vote, you have to realize that the guy has no mandate. And the reason they constantly tell you he has a mandate is because for all the things that he does, he wants to be able to say, I'm doing that because I was elected. And that is fine to say you're doing it because you were elected. But do remember you were elected with a minority of the voting population. You have no mandate. Continue, my dear brother.
Yes, and to dovetail what you just said about the terraforming of the population, the statistic you point out, over 50% of the population who did show up to vote did not agree with him. That is a major piece that they're going to be working on. That's why you just said it. They're going to keep drilling that thing that he has a mandate,
Right.
And I keep drilling the opposite. I keep saying he doesn't have a mandate. He doesn't have a mandate, and I spell out each and every point what the American people want. The American people, the supermajority, 60 to 75% of Americans. Let's not forget. Let's keep reminding our fellow time travelers. 60 to 75% of the American people, depending on which issue we're talking about, want universal health care. They want to preserve and improve and expand Social Security so people can choose to eat, don't have to choose between eating cat food and keeping the lights on. They want the criminals in Manhattan, the banksters, to be investigated, prosecuted, and incarcerated. They want a whole laundry list of things, and none of those Donald Trump wants. Therefore, he has no mandate. And let me close with one thing. You talked about supporting media, independent media supporting each other. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And in that vein, let me share with you something I came across just the other day. And as a matter of fact, I even earmarked it on my computer. It's from TYT. It's a 19-minute plus video that they posted. I think it's titled something like is or why is the Democratic Party starting to wake up or come around or something. And in that, early on in that 19-minute video, they show this guy who's a Latino-American immigrant who said simply he wants to have a family. He's a working class guy. I think he has a small business. I'm not sure exactly. I've seen so many of these videos now. It's hard to keep track of him in my head. But he said that he was, similar to you, a Bernie supporter and volunteer at the level similar to you, and that he supported Bernie financially and volunteered, and he voted for Bernie the first time and then the second time. But because Bernie didn't make it through the general, he wound up voting for Donald Trump, and then he goes, why? And when I heard this, I realized this guy doesn't know. He just doesn't know so much because he's so preoccupied trying to raise a family. And that is the advantage that Donald Trump has. So we have to keep reminding folks that Donald Trump does not have a mandate. He has no mandate. He does not agree with the American people.
Right. And, let me give you another number that's important, because now that it's been clear that Donald Trump is getting under 50% of the popular vote, they have been trying to promote a new narrative. Bill Clinton got 47% of the vote, but when he ran, his opponent got only 37%. So it was a 10-point margin. So it was advertised in one of the major newspapers as a landslide. So now, as opposed to just calling it a mandate, it turns out that they're calling it, look at Bill Clinton. You guys said Bill Clinton had a mandate with 47%. So it is important for us to understand that when Bill Clinton won that at 47%, there were third-party candidates that sucked up a lot of votes as well. But guess what? Again, 47, he got 10 points over the next candidate. Donald Trump would have gotten just 1 point something points over Harris. She got 48%, 48 point something. He got 49 point something. No mandate. Thank you very much, my brother Johnny. Let's go to Bard. Come on in, Bard. Let's get to Bard. Yes. Come on in, Bard. You're on.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Mandate.
Say that again.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
312. 312 is a mandate. 312 electoral college votes.
Okay, I like the way that you use the electoral college vote. Let's be clear here, my friend. The electoral college is a fraud, okay? And that's fine. In a democracy, if you really want to know where the people's heart is, you look at what the popular vote is. Now, he won look, at 312, he won that he won those states. That, no doubt about it. But when it comes to the popular vote, sir, most people said they didn't want what he had to offer. That's a statement of fact. That's a statement in the numbers. Okay? I think you should agree with that as well.
The Latino.
Sir, hold on. Let me ask you this, Bart. Let me ask you this. If 50.5% of the people say they don't want something, and another 49.5 say they want something, which side actually wants the real thing? Which side? The side that has more votes, right?
Our system is set up with the electoral college for a reason.
That's not that's not the question I asked you. I asked you, isn't it true that more people did not want Trump? Is that true or not?
That is false.
Okay, let's see. Let's go back again. There
7
are
million more
hold on,
votes
hold
than
on. No, wait. Listen, Bart. Listen to me. I want you to start critically thinking here, Bart. You're to the right, and it's okay, but truth should be absolute. More people voted against Trump than they did for Trump. Is that true or false? More individual people voted against Trump than for Trump. True or false?
Trump had 7 million more votes than Kamala. That's end of story.
What?
You're talking about Hillary. What?
No, no,
Trump
no,
had
no. That's not
7
what I
million
that sir, that's not what I asked you. I asked you a question. More people voted against Trump than for Trump. True or false?
false.
Okay,
False. You keep talking
so
about
let me ask. Oh, hold on. Let me ask you, audience at large. I want to show you how the right mind works. Hold on, Bart. Let's look at this again. There are more people that did not vote for Trump than people who voted for Trump. That's what the numbers say as of yesterday. Okay? So if my statement is true, isn't it saying that more people voted against Trump? Yes or no? That's an absolute question, sir.
400 million. There's people that didn't vote. You're talking about
That's
people that didn't vote.
sir, no, sir. I said the following. Of all the votes that are out there, of all the people who voted, more of them voted against Trump. Trump got 49.9% of the vote. The other side got 50 point something percent of the vote. 50 point something is greater
Okay.
than 49 point something. So, my question to you, doesn't that say that more people voted against him?
You keep talking about the media telling the truth, and here you are sitting here lying. When are you going to start telling the truth?
Did I miss the numbers, sir?
More votes. He
Say that
got
again.
7 million more votes than Kamala.
No, sir. He did not get 7 million more votes than Kamala. It's right now 2 point something million votes. Look it up, please.
Well, I guess California's not finished counting yet. So,
All right,
I mean,
Bart. Bart, if we can't agree on what truth is, why are we talking? Let's go to Betty. Thank you, Bart. I mean, I can't believe you just can't accept the
lying.
fact. Come on in, Betty.
Morning.
You're on, Betty. Talk to me, my beautiful lady.
Oh, okay. I want to give Thanksgiving to Alberto and Jack for the loan of your shoulder.
Thank you.
And
Thank you,
we
ma'am.
need, yeah, we need Pacifica. We need Amy. We need 90.1. We need Tom Hartman. Do not be for sale.
No.
It saved me from crumbling after Trump went in there. And on Trump, women has something he wants, and he can't stand that. He wants us to be throwaways. And I give him a bad wiggle butt. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly, Betty. Thank you. I'm going to go to Moses, but before I go to Moses, because we believe in fact-based information, I keep a running track of where the vote count currently stands. And I want to tell all my people, you notice how he just came on. Bart came on and said, oh, Trump got 7 million more votes. That shows the kind of media that they're listening to. Let me give you the count from cookpolitical.com, who keeps the running tally of votes. Harris got 74,563,603 votes as of today. Trump has 77,034,011 votes. He has 49.86% of the vote, while Kamala has 48.26% of the vote. That's a difference of 1.6 points. Okay? Now, the total amount of people that voted were 154,500,077. So therefore, Trump got less than 50% of the entire vote. In other words, more than 50% of the population said, we don't want what Trump is doing. That is unlike the popular vote for whom again? For Joe Biden, who got I think it was over 51%, which means most of the people in the country said we wanted what he had to offer. These are just statements of fact. And the fact that you have Bard on coming and he calls in every day, and I take his call every day because this station belongs to everybody. The fact that he just couldn't say, Okay, but based on our rules, Trump is president. I got that. But most people didn't vote for him. All right, come on in, Moses.
Good morning, me, good morning. Before I get into French and Spanish and everything. All
Good
right.
morning, sis. Buenos días, corazón. ¿Cómo estás?
Buenos días, mijito.
Great.
All right. Now, let me say this, and I am going to say this mainly to the people who have Bibles in their hands. Because as I walk around and I listen to such people, I see how ignorant and how hard-headed they are. Number one, everybody's talking about 666 and all this not mess. It's up in your face and you can see it. If you have that Bible in your hand, take a good look at the book of Daniel. And one of the marks of the 666 you're running your mouth about is, there will appear a vile man to whom they did not give the honor of the kingdom. They did not give Donald Trump the honor of the kingdom. And you have already described it in the numbers. The appearance of a regime of ungodliness. While you can examine the ways of dictatorship, how they set up the country for ungodliness, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall be taken by flattery. Look at the cabal that he's putting around him. They all are against the holy covenant of God. I say this just to the millions who have Bibles in their hands and are strengthening the hands of this ungodly man. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly for that, Moses. And, when you heard our brother Johnny talks about the people are on our side, and he's right. It's only psychological warfare and evil that has made it otherwise. But you take a look at all the policies that progressives support, and then take a look at what Americans say that they want. The policies that they support are are congruous to the policies that progressives look for, or progressive are trying to pass. That they supported a thug, that they supported a convicted felon, that has other psychological things. Now, yes, over the weekend I wrote a blog where I said that in effect I was trying to tell folks, let's not hate on our right wing brothers, let's not hate on our MAGA brothers and sisters. And I said, if you had a sick family member, and I know would you hate on them, or would you acknowledge that there's a sickness that has caused them to do what they've done? One of my YouTubers got upset at me. She is a Trump voter, and she said I was condescending and that I just didn't accept her vote. Everybody has a right to vote, etc. And she's absolutely right. Everybody has the right to choose the vote that they choose and the reasons that they want to choose that vote. But I also have the right to say, if you, as another human being, chose to put that person in office, I can judge you by your vote. The things that I voted for was, if you have a parent that needed that was disabled, and you didn't want them to put them in a home, you wanted to care for them. The Kamala Harris plan included Medicare at home. It included subsidies for small businesses. A person just going out of college and wanted to form a business. It had policies that supported real people, middle class people. Donald Trump wanted you to concentrate on gays and lesbians, and he wanted you to think about trans, and he wanted you to think of everything that pitted you against other people. And that worked on our carnality, and you voted for him. I call that, it's either you are intrinsically evil or you're mentally ill. And I know that doesn't sound kind, but if you put somebody into office who will do the country harm, and we can prove why he'll do the country harm, and that person still gets elected, we are a sick country. I mean, I'm sorry to just say it that way, but just like you have the right to believe that somehow that vote was, I have the right to tell you the reason why I didn't vote for this guy, and this is now taking my host hat off. This is a personal thing. The reason I didn't vote for this guy was I could look into my daughter's eyes and say, I voted for somebody who demeans your life, who pulls on your crutch, who thinks that you are just a piece of meat, who believes that raping women is just okay, who believes that stealing is just okay. I could not vote for that person, have discipline for the children that I discipline, and look into my kids' eyes and said, but I believe in doing what's right. For all of you who made that vote, you can atone. It's not the end of it. You can atone. But atoning requires first acknowledging that it was a mistake. That's what atonement is all about. When I was a homophobe, I atoned. When I was a sexist, I atoned. When all the bad isms that I had that were made, that folks opened my eyes to, I atoned. I accepted that I was wrong. I accepted that I needed change, and I changed. A lot of this country needs to change. I'm coming to you, Augie. I was on a panel this weekend, with a whole bunch of progressives talking about where we go from here. And I came on and I spoke to the panel and I said, before we get any further, we need to come to grips with what really happened in this election. Why did the better candidate really lose? One of the progressives who was a consultant to a progressive who came in third in the race against a right winger, etc. I said, I don't know what to do. I mean, we are going to have to figure out what to do because people just don't want what we're selling. And I'm like, no, the fact that you don't accept what really is the problem, the core of the problem. People say they want what we are offering. They're not just voting for the people in there. Why did Kamala Harris lose? Why did Hillary Clinton lose? We have to work on the systemic problem at the core of American values in order for us to be making the right choices. And until we accept those issues, that's not a right-wing issue, not a left-wing issue, but it's a human issue. Until we make that change in our hearts, in our minds, and obliterate sexism and racism, however hidden, however we don't want to talk about it, we will continue to get the charlatanes like Donald Trump to work on your carnality, to have you vote against the things that will make your life better. Come on in, Augie.
Yeah, I was wondering how come nobody's talking about Citizens United. I think that's where it all started. I remember when it was promoted, there was one multimillionaire who complained, why can't I spend my money in other districts, in other parts of the country, so I can get my politicians in other places? And his money is going to be his vote that he's going to spread all over the place, while the rest of us can only vote in our own little district here because we don't have the money to spread it all over the world. Elon Musk, he spent over $100 million on Trump. I don't have $100 million. I don't know that many of us that do, but
Augie,
he did. One of them.
You know what is so funny, Augie? He spent $100 million on Trump and millions more on the others, but because of the outcome of the election, since the election, he's made $64 billion. Think about that. That tells it all. Continue, my brother.
And like you said, somebody called you condescending. Somebody called me that too. On Facebook, they got a Scrabble game, and people come out and they play against you. And there was a man from Yakima, Washington, and you can chat on there. And so he started chatting with me about, and he thought I was like a low income person or something, and he was condescending to me. And but I told him, well, no, I got good retirement.
There you
And
go.
then he started talking about Trump and right wing stuff, and I started countering with facts and truth. And he called me condescending because I was giving the facts and truth. And I
Yeah,
told him, you don't
that
know what the word condescending means.
exactly. They believe that anything that goes against what they say is condescending. But you're right, Augie. I want to show you how the right mind works. This is what Eric Hayes, a friend of mine, right wing, here on my chat, part of the PDR posse as well. Remember, I tell you, the PDR posse, the politics done right posse, has left wingers, right wingers. In the middle, we have everybody. But this is what Eric says. As of 11/6, he had over 50%. It was over. Votes do not count after the win is declared. Are you crazy? How can votes not count after the win is declared? Votes continue to be counted. The win is declared after they found out that the outstanding votes are not enough to actually overcome, but it does count. Every vote counts. Augie, I need to go to Curtis. Anything else you want to say real quickly?
Nope. Just keep on doing what you're doing. And thanks to you, Jack and Howard. Thanks.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Let's go to Curtis. Come on in, Curtis.
All right. Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Everything is fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Yeah, great. I just want to say something real quick. I called before. I haven't had the opportunity to listen to you again for a couple of weeks, but I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago. But before that was before the election. Like I told you before, I'm a Republican basically, but I also have morals. The issue that we have, and I believe that I don't know how old you are, but I'm half a century mark now. And I'm in the working class, and so many people I know in the working class voted for Donald Trump. And it was more than just the fact that they said he's a great person. That didn't happen. I myself would have never voted for Donald Trump if the system gave us someone else to vote for. Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party lost because they did a horrible job. I believe, like I said, that, you may be a little bit older. So here's the thing that I know now, that just because you have knowledge doesn't make you wise. And I believe the Democrat Party, yes, they have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of educators in my family. They're all Democrat. Most educators that I know they voted liberal, Democrat, whatever you want to call it. But the working class people and the people who are on the other side, I have a lot of millionaire friends that own their own businesses. They could never see themselves vote for Kamala. And I don't think it's a knock against Kamala. I think it's a knock against the Democrat Party, because you guys are not explaining what you're doing. You're not saying enough. You won't even bring up situations other than we want everybody to be equal. I don't think equality done anything for us. I'm a black man. I think that was a waste of time for us since the 60s because of what happened to us so many years later. I think that we have to consider ourselves as Americans, but because we have placed ourselves in that position now, that we have to be honest with ourselves. If Donald Trump is a person that we voted for, then this is where America is. This is just not a Republican or Democrat thing anymore. This is where America truly is, and this is what we look like. Donald Trump is the true face of America. And we can call it hate. We can say that he is a man that grabbed women or do whatever. But the problem is the Democrat Party do not want to face themselves. And people don't want to look like the Democrat Party. And
Can I ask you a favor, Curtis? Because I love this conversation. Can you call back early tomorrow? I want to have an extended conversation with you on air. I think I mean, we need to learn something from your thought process. I respect exactly how you're coming across and what you're saying. And by the way, I agree with most of what you've said thus far. I would love to entertain the conversation. So will you call me back tomorrow if you can earlier so we can have an extended conversation?
yeah, for sure. No problem. I
I
appreciate it.
appreciate you, brother. Okay?
All right. Okay.
Thank you. All right, let's go to Eddie. You got 30 seconds and then I got to go, Eddie.
Yeah, am I on?
Yes, you're on.
Okay. So if more than 50% of the people voted against Trump and his policies, doesn't that also mean that more than 50% of the people voted against Kamala and her policies?
Yes, it does mean that.
So
You're
when
correct.
you say the overwhelming majority people want Kamala's policies, doesn't that in fact prove you're wrong? More than 50% said no.
Okay, no, I didn't say more 50% wanted Kamala's policies. I said more than, and I think Johnny no, that's not. Let me explain that. I don't have time, but I gotta explain real quick. Eddie. We've done polling on all the ish. Are you going to listen, Eddie, or are you going to just try to keep talking, my brother?
You're just going to talk over me and say the same
No,
thing.
let me answer your question. You asked the question, I'm answering your question. The answer is all the polls say that the things that progressive stand for is what most America want. Anyway, I got to run back to Jack. Come on in, Jack. Jack, are you there?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Close her up for me.
all right. Media speaketh with corporate tongue.
Love that. Anyway, Eddie, just like I asked Curtis to call back tomorrow, call back earlier tomorrow and I entertain. But the way we work here, you ask a question, you shut up, I answer it, I shut up, you respond. Anyway, folks, thank you so kindly for being a part of our show. Love you all. Visit politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Or rather, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter is where we have all the rest of the show. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willis. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willis. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.